Shrapnel.
Wagwan, everyone out there, welcome to Film Shrapnel. My name's Tobias. How are you?
My name is Craig. I jumped in too soon. My name's Craig, and yes, we're doing this now.
Hi, Craig.
Hello, I'm the
How you
awkward
doing?
child. Tobias is doing his great, nice, smooth introduction. I just come in and just get all messy and fuck it up. Well,
To be fair, I get all flustered when I try and think of a word to refer to people listening. I end up saying like lovers or some weird shit. Like, you know, if people have been listening to previous episodes, yeah, like I'm sorry, it's weird. I know. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and work on it.
well, film lovers is good, right? We can stick
I
with film
suppose so.
lovers.
Film lovers or lovers of film. We're speaking to the lovers out there. You know, that's our audience, the lovers.
The cinephile lovers.
Cinephile lovers. Well,
Oh,
guys, today we're doing something a little bit different. I don't actually know what we're going to talk about.
yeah. So we decided because we haven't watched any films, we were going to talk about the news.
Yes,
But
Yeah,
the news of film,
the news
because
of film.
let's be honest, the news of the world is something we need a distraction from right now because, you know, things are bad.
That's why we watch films in the first place, right? Some escapism.
Exactly.
it's a welcome distraction from how horrible things are.
Yeah. So, I've been looking through, I scoured the web for about half an hour or something. I looked at, I don't know, about 9 different news websites for film, and I have some
Right.
stuff for you. Do you want me to tell you what's going on in the world? Right, I'll start with the first thing. All right, so the first thing I saw, James L. Jones will no longer voice Darth Vader in anything
Oh.
else, which is quite. I saw that quite on quite a few news sites today.
Oh, that's not good news.
But to be fair to the guy, he must be pretty
amazing.
old.
Yeah, I think he's in his 90s. I mean, he's got to be because, like, what when's the first Star Wars film? Like 77?
77. Yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, and he's not young doing that.
he's 91.
Well, he's much younger. I see. I knew he'd be in his 90s.
Yeah,
He's in Conan the Barbarian. He's the bad guy in that. He's basically Darth Vader in Conan, and it's fucking great.
I've always known him for Star Wars, and I always thought that he just did voice stuff. I didn't know he actually did any
No.
proper acting.
Oh, what? Trading Places? No, not Trading Places. Coming to America.
Is he in
With
that as
Eddie Murphy.
well?
Yeah, he's the dad, he's the king who sends him to America.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought this, but I always thought that he was like a news announcer guy who got the voice for Darth Vader. Why did I think that? I have no idea.
I have no idea because he's a fucking amazing actor.
As I say, I mean, you know, I'm an Arnie fan. You know, I love Arnie, and Conan is one of my all-time favorite films. Not just Arnie films, but like I really love the first Conan movie as a movie. It's amazing. And James L. Jones is in the flesh. He is the bad guy in that movie, and he's giving, I think, the performance of his career. It's definitely his best role. And I know people say Darth Vader, but he is physically embodying this character. And this character, like, you know how he sounds and how he looks, and they gave him like long, straight black hair and like green eyes, and they were sort of trying to make him look like a lost race, like a race of humans that we, you know, are very rare, that we've never seen before. And he just feels like otherworldly. It's brilliant. He's so good in it, and the character is great. Yeah, and he's also a giant snake. Like, what's not to love?
I can also see that his first role was in Doctor Strangelove. That's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Debut
that.
film. I need to check him out more. And I also need to check out Conan the Barbarian. I haven't seen that in maybe like 20 years or something crazy.
Oh, dude, I'd love to do some Arnie episodes with you because
We
I'm a
should do
massive
some.
Arnie fan.
we should do. Yeah, but that's not the complete story on this because there's something a bit extra happening. I
Okay,
also
so
saw,
what's our second piece of Star Wars news?
well, it's like kind of an add-on to this first piece.
Right.
James L. Jones has approved that they can use his voice in AI to generate, to basically make, continue making Darth Vader without him, basically.
Why
And
didn't they do that for Obi-Wan anyway? The Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen it.
That's all right. I only like it for Darth Vader. Like I'm not really a Star Wars guy. I watched Obi-Wan. I couldn't tell you what the story was because I wasn't paying attention. The only times I paid attention was when lightsabers came out. I was like, all right, smacky, smacky, hit each other. Go on, go, go. I fucking love all that. But yeah, I wasn't interested. I wasn't super invested. I'm not a massive Star Wars guy, but I do love a good lightsaber fight.
Yeah. Speaking of which, they actually did do some kind of, I don't know if it was exactly AI, some CGI stuff with that other Rogue One, which I'm going to talk about a bit more in a second because there's something else related to that in the news. So basically, have you seen Rogue One yet?
I have not.
It's actually probably, if I was to tell, if someone had never seen Star Wars before, and they probably were not going to like it much, I tell them to watch Rogue One because that's probably the best they've made so far out of all of them. And I'm being serious when I said it's a really good film. And in that film, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. It felt really tight. It felt, I don't know exactly how it should feel.
Well, fair enough.
I recommend you
give it a
should
go
see
then.
it. Yeah, it's
All
a
right.
good film and good cast as well. And in this film, there is one character, I can't remember his name. Basically, the story takes place just before the first original movie, which is number 4, right?
Yeah, I know the general premise that they're trying to get the plans to the Death Star. That's all
Yeah.
I really know about the film. And
Yeah.
that Darth Vader shows up at one point.
Yeah,
That's
for
all
like a second. And
Yeah.
basically, while this is, there is one guy, I think he's like a general or something, very high up under Darth Vader, and he plays quite a prominent role in the film. But he's actually dead, and they had someone stand in for him, and they basically just put voice and CGI or whatever all over him. I
Yeah.
didn't really notice it till I don't know. I think it was kind of good. I
Well-
don't know if they saw a story about this. If it was going to be, I can't remember if it was good or not. But my point was is that someone has died and they're still
Yeah.
starring in films.
Well, they did that with Paul Walker, didn't they, for the last Fast and Furious film he did?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they got his brother to film the scenes and then they deep faked it. But it was meant to be like, I mean, look, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but apparently it was quite respectfully done. I've never watched it. I've watched the first 5 Fast and Furious films, and I like those. I'm not really interested in the franchise, though. I don't really care about the characters, so I haven't really pursued watching the rest. But apparently it was handled very well and quite tastefully. But I don't know how you could make it tasteful if he's dead and he died in a car accident.
Oh my God, it just sounds even worse.
Well, this is the thing. You feel bad for finding that funny because it is a little bit funny. But like, because you feel bad for him, like, no one likes to be killed by irony. And, I feel bad for him. But at the same time, like, I don't know if it's respect. I don't know whether it was respectful or not. Number one, I haven't seen it. But number two, I'm like, yeah, I think that's a little bit far. Making money off the image of a dead person, and it's like a recreation of that image. I don't know. I suppose, but then you just had an Elvis movie. We have lots of movies about dead people. But if it's handled respectfully, I guess it's fine. But
I'm just thinking if there should be rules about using people who have passed. The funny thing is James Earl Jones is still alive.
True.
And like, I don't know, like what can you make them say or do? I mean, where are there boundaries that no, I'm thinking more not in terms of respect, but what if I don't know if someone could do something bad with your voice or image, you know?
Make an audio recording of you having sex with someone. So be like James Earl Jones, you know, like, oh yes. I can't really do a Darth Vader voice. Can you do a Darth Vader voice?
Darth Vader. Do you think Darth Vader had sexual urges?
I mean, with the whole plot line, once you factor in the prequels, he's got blue balls, hasn't he? You know, you don't know that in the original trilogy, but in the prequel trilogy, yeah, he's got major blue balls. You know, his dick's probably melted off. You know, yeah, he's pretty pissed. That's why he's so angry.
Right. Should I tell you the rest of the Star Wars news before?
Yes. Yeah, let's get through Star Wars.
There is now a new Star Wars show, Andor. Have you heard of this one?
I am aware of its existence, yeah.
Basically, remember I was telling you about Rogue One a second ago?
Yeah.
Basically, this show is based on one of the characters from that film. I forgot his name, but the actor is from Narcos, Mexico.
Yeah, I've seen like posters of Rogue One with him. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, interesting fact: he's half Scottish, Mexican and Scottish. I had no idea.
Shit.
Yeah, strange. Yeah, he's actually a good guy. I quite like him. I have no idea if the show will be any good because I kind of feel like there's a bit too many Star Wars shows floating around.
Yeah, the market's getting oversaturated, and Disney's doing all the saturating.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're copying themselves now.
Yeah, I feel like you could have just had one big Star Wars giant show, like a huge cast, and had all of these stories going on at once.
Do a Game of Thrones.
A
Game of Thrones, but with Star Wars.
Yeah, but I feel like what they're doing is they're trying to micro-target, which I think is what Netflix does a lot of these days, is micro-target.
Well, everything's streaming now, isn't it? Like Disney are, I think, overtaking Netflix in a big way right now with their streaming platform. You know, that's where the money is at the minute. You know, and like you can't make the same movies and TV shows that you used to because it's a different ball game now. You know, you can't take chances on indie stuff anymore.
Well, you know, I think it's a bit even. It's not even that it's indie. It's that they're looking for very, very niche markets all the time. Like, and I think it's kind of not helps Netflix. Some people might call this wokeness. I don't believe in that shit. I believe that what they've done is Netflix has probably a huge ton of data from all the people who watch all their shows, and they analyze that data. And they try and identify groups. This group likes that stuff. This group likes that stuff. And then they in between those groups, they find other groups and other things. And they try and find specific, very niche things that one audience, a small audience might like. And then they're just making so much content like this. But it's so niche that it's not getting a big enough audience. And like, I don't know. And like, sometimes, you know, I just want the big blockbuster shit, the weird shit. Remember when Netflix, like maybe several years ago, used to have all the like underrated cool shit that you hadn't seen?
Yeah. I mean, I remember when Bright came out, and I wasn't a huge fan of the film, but like it felt that Netflix were taking a chance on like trying to make something, you know, sort of semi-high budget with, you know, intentions on building the universe with sequels. Now, yeah, it didn't work out, but you know, it felt brave. It felt brave. It was like, yeah, I can see you've invested a lot of money in this film, and you're hoping that this is going to take off. You're hoping that you're going to make sequels upon sequels of this.
Was that the film with Will Smith and the Goblin?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, are you ready for your dessert?
That wasn't dessert.
No.
Okay. All right. Give me dessert.
Do you like David Cronenberg?
I love David Cronenberg.
Do you know that he's going to make a TV series
about
a certain film that I'm not sure if you've seen? I haven't actually seen it, but I think you definitely have seen it, and I think probably you like it. Can you
Mhm.
guess which film it might be?
Uh, okay, so I'm guessing it's not The Fly.
No.
Otherwise, I'd know about it already. It's got to be something obscure then, one of his more obscure ones. I'm gonna hazard a guess because I reckon it would make a good TV show. Existence.
No, but I need to watch that again because I watched that with you many years ago and we were very stoned and I don't remember any
Yeah.
of it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I mean, it's not like a masterpiece, but it's bloody good.
Yeah. Well, should I tell you what film it is then?
Oh, I mean, is it one of his like body horror sci-fi?
It might be from the pictures I've seen.
Okay, because he has made some very good like dramas. All right, let's go.
Are you still guessing?
Yeah, I'm trying to guess. Fuck. What else has he done that would make a good like TV show? Or what else would he have done that's even worth making sequels for? You know what? Just tell me. I'll
Scanners.
never. Ah, you know what? Really? He's bringing that back.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. Maybe he can do more with it now. Now with modern technology, maybe he can. I'd love to see that head explode again, but like better.
I think I've heard of this film definitely, but I've never seen it. Can you tell me a bit about it? Because I'm not sure.
No,
Maybe I might
oh
want to watch this.
no! I tell you what, we are going to do though. That's the next episode.
Scanners.
Yeah,
All right, I agree with that. That's a good
cool.
choice.
We're doing scanners for the next episode, so
So
I'm
we,
not going to spoil the film.
but are you curious about this TV series if it'll be good?
Absolutely, I'll absolutely watch it, 100%. Wait, speaking of David Cronenberg, though, I did know something. Well, I say it's not super new, but did you know he had a son?
No. Who?
So
What?
Brandon Cronenberg is David Cronenberg's son, and Blake was saying to me that we need to watch The Possessor, which is a movie Brandon Cronenberg made. I said I've never heard of it before, and he went, "Mate, go and watch it. It's the best David Cronenberg film," and he didn't even make it himself. All right,
Uh,
yeah, I'm quite pumped for a Scanners TV show. I'm
nice.
quite pumped.
But this is not all of our news. Do you want to hit? We have three more, well, technically four more pieces.
Okay, so now this is like afters.
Yeah, this is like if you're
This is
still not
cheese
full.
board. This is cheese
Yeah,
board.
you didn't like your dessert. Well, you decided to save the dessert for another day. You put it back in the fridge so you can have something more salty if you like.
There you go. All right, bring on the cheese board, Craig.
All
What's
right.
on the cheese board?
So here's one. I'm not sure if you're interested in this, but there's this TV series that they're making now on a video game called The Last of Us. My brother
Never heard of it.
it's quite. It was a very big thing. I think it was mostly on PlayStation. I'm not sure. It was a big deal. I've seen my brother play it. He loves it so much. Basically, I think the world kind of ends, and there's some weird parasites that start controlling your body, and they kind of mutate a little bit. It's based on some fungi, I think, that comes from South America. Have you seen this fungus that can invade an ant, make it climb
Yeah,
really high? It's based on that,
yeah.
and I think, if I remember correctly, from when my brother was playing it, the main character, he loses his daughter at the very beginning of the game, and he has to then help, like several years later, a young girl who's kind of like his daughter, a bit like her,
Mm.
get her to somewhere safe, and she might be immune to this fungus.
Well, yeah, it just sounds like any sort of zombie film, I guess. Any zombie concept, where you try and justify why people are infected. Like 28 days later, it's the rage virus. Resident Evil, it's the T virus. We sort of moved into viruses instead of like, because obviously the original zombies were voodoo, weren't they?
Yeah,
So yeah, it's sort of evolved into a virus instead of like voodoo. So yeah, I suppose it's logical to make it even more plausible and believable that you make it like this real world fungus that's maybe evolved to affect humans. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, but the main thing I'm thinking about, if they'll adapt it properly, and will gamers be happy? Because I'll tell you, did you ever watch The Witcher?
I watched the first season.
I watched the first episode and I just couldn't get into it. I was like,
I
eh.
I only carried because I think I was watching it with other people, so I just carried on, but like I really didn't like it.
Yeah,
But
I was.
Henry Cavill's very charming though. Like he's good in it. It's just not really. It doesn't sing to me like it sings to other people. Like Game of Thrones didn't sing to me like it sang to everyone else.
Well, for me, it just felt like with The Witcher, like I had to invest too much into it, like mentally, because
Sure.
like with Game of Thrones and other kind of fantasy things, you have to pay a bit of attention to kind of get the world.
Mm.
And when The Witcher came out, it's like, I don't want to invest more of my brain power to understand how this world works. It's just
I
too
mean,
like.
it's also based on a book, isn't it? Though The Witcher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was probably already sort of people who like Game of Thrones probably were reading The Witcher as well. In all fairness, so I suppose they were tapping into that market. But yeah, didn't if it didn't grab you, what chance am I going to have for it to grab me? Because I'm not a Game of Thrones nut. I mean, I know you're not a nut for Game of Thrones, but like you like it.
I do, yeah. It's well, to a degree. I mean, it has its
Yeah.
faults, obviously. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
But another thing about this Last of Us has bloody Pedro Pascal in it. I like him, but he's in
Yeah.
everything. He's
The
just
thing
in
is,
every bloody show. Like,
Pedro Pascal's like sort of hit and miss for me, man. Like, I don't. We've talked about. We mentioned in a previous episode about the second Wonder Woman movie being dog shit. And I would say Pedro Pascal is a very big reason why it's dog shit. He's the bad guy in it, and I hate that movie so much. Like it's night and day the difference between the first Wonder Woman movie and the second one. It's crazy how bad the second one is. And I suppose Pedro Pascal is probably the best thing in it, and he's still contributing to how bad the movie is. That's how bad this film is, and how. I mean, yeah. Look, I think I did watch The Mandalorian, and I thought he was good in it. What else is he in? He's good in Narcos.
Narcos.
Not Narco. Yeah, you know what I mean.
He was also in Game of
I've
Thrones.
only watched it once or twice. Is he in Game of Thrones?
Yeah, in the second or third season. And I think, in my opinion, he has the best death. He has a really great death. Can I tell you about his death? Because it's one of my favorite deaths.
Is it the one with the rats? That was the one I liked the most, where they put the bucket of rats on the guy and then they heat up the bucket. That was cool.
No, not that one. I don't remember that one. His death was really messed up. So the reason he's supposed to be from this place called Dawn, which is kind of like, I guess, like something like Spain or Portugal, and he's coming there to what was it called, the main place, the Red Keep or whatever, where all the royal family lives, because he wants to take revenge on the mountain. You know, that giant guy who's like a bodyguard to the royal family. Because
Yarp, the guy who's Yarp from Hot Fuzz.
Oh, is he really him? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was.
Anyway, what happens is, long story short, he fights on behalf of Tyrion because he's accused of trying to kill his father. Or did he kill? I can't remember. But basically, there's a thing like where he can basically, if Pedro Pascal's character wins, Tyrion will be free. Mm-hmm. So like he chooses to fight the mountain, and he's been really cocky, really cocky. You know, the mountain is gigantic and he's full of armor, but Pedro Pascal's character is like wearing almost no armor. He's got his spear and he's drinking before. And Tyrion's like, "Are you sure you should be like doing that?" He's like, "Yeah, it's fine." And at the beginning, it looks really cool. Like it looks like he's gonna win. He's not. He's like attacking him the whole time. And the reason he wants to kill the mountain is because when there was the coup, like I don't remember what the word is. When the Targaryens were removed, his
Mhm.
sister was married to one of the princes or the king, and they had kids. And she was murdered by the mountain, and her kids were murdered by the mountain as well. They were babies. So he wants revenge for this. And the whole time he's taunting him, like, admit it that you killed my sister, you raped her, and you killed her children. And he's repeating it over and over again. Eventually, he knocks him down, and I think he even stabs him with the spear, and he wants him to admit it. And the whole time, the mountain's not saying anything. Then eventually, for some reason, he's on top of him, and the mountain rolls over. So now the Pedro Pascal's character is on the ground, and he punches all his teeth out. Uh, and
Whoa.
then and then he says, "Yeah." Finally, the mountain speaks. "Yeah, I killed your sister. I raped her, and I killed her children." And then he crushes his head, and he's dead. And he's like, "What the fuck?" It
All right,
was the most fucked up death.
I'm
The
looking that
most
up.
fucked up.
I'm looking that up. That sounds pretty fucking beastly.
That's the reason I used to like Game of Thrones. When the shit like that used to happen, that was like peak
Wait,
for me.
dude, why are we talking about Pedro Pascal again?
Because he's in this Last of Us TV series.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This,
Yeah, maybe
this,
they'll do the video game justice. We'll see. You know, sometimes
yeah.
it works. I don't know.
So there's two more pieces of news. One is about Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie
Oh
has
yeah.
made a film called The Munsters. Have you heard of this?
Oh, I tried to stream it the other day. It was dog shit. I couldn't watch it.
What is it about? Because I actually don't know. I just heard about it
So
today.
so the Munsters, it was a TV show that I used to love when I was growing up. It was about like a family of monsters. So you had like a Frankenstein's monster as the dad of the family. You had like a sort of uh, sort of Dracula bride as the mother of the family, and then the kids was like a vampire and a werewolf, and they had like a Dracula granddad. Um, yeah, it was like, and it was like, but it was like super, cheesy, child friendly comedy, and it was in black and white. It's like that old. I think it was from the 50s. This TV show, but I used to love it when I was a kid. My grandma used to put it on. Yeah, like it was one of those sort of humble 1950s like family sitcoms, but it just happened that the family were monsters and no one liked them because they were monsters. They were misunderstood. It's like the Addams Family. It's basically the Addams Family, just a bit less gothic and a bit
Wh-
more sort of cheeky, winky at the audience, modern. More about them in the real world rather than in like a sort of fictitious world where the Addams Family feel like they could actually exist. It just feels like people from went in a costume shop and it's a family and they've gone on trick or treating, but they do it every day. That's what it looks like. And the Rob Zombie one, he's basically rebooting it, and he's doing a prequel to how the husband and wife meet, or at least that's up to where I got up to before I had to turn it off. And I'm like, oh no, I can't fucking. They're ruining a part of my childhood. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
This is supposed to be funny.
It's originally a comedy, and the Rob Zombie one is attempting humor, but I didn't find it funny at all.
Okay.
Did you ever watch Pet Sematary?
Yeah.
Right. Do you remember the guy who's like, you don't want to go down that road. That road's dangerous there. Remember that guy? So I know I'm
Yeah.
doing the South Park version of him, but that guy, that's the actor who played the dad, the Frankenstein, Mr. Munster. That was him. And he was massive, like genuinely a really tall guy. And yeah, that's how I knew him. When I saw him in Pet Sematary, I already knew him from the Munsters from childhood. I really liked the Munsters. I did not like the movie. Although to be fair, I didn't watch much of it. Maybe I should give it more of a chance, but I didn't love it at all. I felt like it was too modern. It was too modern. It didn't feel like the same characters. It didn't feel like the same story, and that sort of upset me a little. Certainly, you're doing a prequel. I think it needs to remain true to the original if it's a prequel. And I think they were just, it was too modern for me. I think it needed to feel like the 1950s still.
Feels a bit funny to me because the only Rob Zombie film I have seen, I think it was a remake of Halloween that he did a
Oh,
while
yeah.
back. And
Yeah.
like, it seems kind of strange that he's gone from remaking horror films to remaking this kind of stuff. I don't know. It just,
Well, the thing is, I mean, when he got on the scene, let's not forget he's got his own music stuff that he's doing. The only song that I really know from him is Dragula, which is about driving the car that belongs to Dracula, and it's called Dragula. That's the only song I know from him, and I've seen the two films that put him on the map, which were what is it, House of a Thousand Corpses, and then the sequel, Devil's Rejects. That I've seen both of those, and I knew that that was Rob Zombie, and I feel like they're both very, very good horror films. And not only are they good horror films, but the sequel completely reworks the first one. The sequel it's a complete genre change, but it's still a horror film.
okay.
It's very good. Honestly, I think you would like watching these two films back to back and seeing how different they are. Because the first one is like your standard sort of Texas Chainsaw Massacre influenced, like, group of people end up in a place full of fucking psychos and they're fucking with them. Like, that's House of a Thousand Corpses. But then the sequel is like, how do I describe it? It's like a fucking standoff between the bad guys from the first film and the police, and it becomes more of an on the run movie where the bad guys from the first film now become the main characters, and we're following them sort of evade the police. It's really different, the sequel. Really, really different. And I've only really given you the setup. I'm not giving you spoilers. Well, maybe I have, really, in all fairness. But I do think that's worth watching. Maybe we should do that as a double episode one day. Watch it
Yeah.
as one film.
I
Because
think
it
I'll
is an
probably forget
interesting
what
one.
you. I think I'll probably forget what you said anyway, so it'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's put that on the list as well. We've got Scanners
Yeah.
and we've got the two Rob Zombie films. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of him as a filmmaker post those two films. Although it's those and the Halloween movie, that two Halloween movies and those two are of what I've seen of him. And I didn't hate the first remake of Halloween. I actually don't mind it. People do hate that one. I actually appreciate what he's trying to do. The only problem is, I think he could have spent a whole movie doing the origins of Michael Myers, because it does feel like half of two movies just cut together, where maybe he should have saved the second half of the film for a sequel and just flesh out that first half of the movie into a feature on its own. I think that might have been better structurally. But I think he just fell into the trap of we need to cut 20 years later eventually and see the story of the original movie play out.
Well,
it takes like 40 minutes to get there, even an hour to get there.
I do get that though, because people are expecting when they watch a Halloween movie to see some slashing. So maybe.
True, but I think it would have been scarier if we just see him slashing up shit while he's a kid for one movie, because that's what it felt like it was going to be for the majority of the film. And then 40 minutes, once he gets put in an insane asylum, boom, we cut 20 years later, and it's like we're already an hour into the film, and now we have to get reinvested in a new actor taking on the role. And we now need to be introduced to new characters that we now need to care about in order to be upset when they eventually get murdered. I just feel like, at least the first film, the setup, it's like, what? Have you seen the original? It's like 3 minutes, the beginning, where he's a kid, and then it cuts to 20 years later. It's like just the opening sequence where he kills his sister, and then boom, 20 years later. But in the Rob Zombie one, it's like 40 minutes as him as a kid. And again, I see what he's trying to do, and I actually liked it, but I think maybe he should have spent the whole movie doing the origin, and then you could do The sequel being 20 years later.
True, but you know what? I think it's more fucked up to see a kid becoming mental than seeing a grown
Yeah,
up.
I agree. That's what I'm
But
saying. I think
yeah,
he
I
should have
know,
stayed as a
but
kid for like the
I
whole
don't
movie.
think I don't think audiences will be ready for that. I think it'll
Well,
disturb people too much than watching him just slicing heads
Well,
off.
but the problem is, child actors are not very good actors. So, like, I don't. We've said okay. I used Pet Cemetery earlier, so I'll use it again. So, the little boy in Pet Cemetery, when he comes back as a zombie, well, I say zombie, like an evil version of himself, and he's got a knife, and he's trying to stab Herman Munster, and bless this little kid because he's only, I think he's like 5 or 6, so he's like a really cute little kid and he's got all this makeup on him, and it's obvious that the director has said to him, okay, now you're going to have to be really angry. You don't like him, so you got to be you got to go get him, and then they turn on the cameras and he's literally just doing the cutest little angry face. He's like it's like, oh, I cannot take you seriously as a bad guy. And I do think that the kid who plays Michael Myers in Halloween, I do think he's pretty spooky. I think he's given a good performance. I buy him as a future serial killer.
Nice. Shall we move on to the last piece of news? But
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. Well, it's actually two things because I've been watching the House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones kind of prequel thing.
Yes.
And I've been watching The Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings prequel thing. Well, more of the news is about House of the Dragon. So basically, it's now like 6 episodes in, and a few of the actors they've changed out for older actors. And I don't know, I was watching it yesterday, last night even, and I'm not sure what I think about it, to be honest, because they were quite selective in who they chose to move out and who they chose to move and who they didn't. Like, there's some actors who I'm watching it and thinking, you look exactly the same as you did in the previous. There's like 10 there's 10 years difference between the two.
Right.
And like, why did you choose to age that guy up and not this guy? I mean, he looks exactly the same. So, whoopsie, I just knocked my microphone on myself. So yeah, there's some weird. I'm not sure what I think about that.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because like, again, when I was watching Obi-Wan Kenobi, like there's like a flashback between him and between Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker, but they don't de-age Hayden Christensen. They don't de-age him, so he, that he looks younger when he becomes Vader. It's really weird because they always de-age people in these Star Wars things, and they choose not to de-age Hayden Christensen, or if they do de-age him, it's not very effective. Like he looks a lot older. He doesn't look bad, but he looks a lot older. So it is weird. I don't know why they make these decisions or how they make these decisions, because obviously at the end of Mandalorian we get a young Luke, and a very young Luke. You even recreate dead people in Rogue One in order to stay authentic to the original. You could have just hired a new actor to do an impression, or just a higher a high caliber actor to make the role his own. So I don't know what makes them make these decisions. I really don't.
It's funny we're talking about this because in this Game of Thrones episode, the main character, Rhaenyra, she's been having an affair. Her husband is gay. They married on purpose. She knows about this. It's an agreement that they have, and she's had 3 kids with another man. And they talk about, like, everybody kind of knows this big secret, and they talk about the king being willfully ignorant. He should know the kids don't look like their father. Blah blah blah. And like, it kind of feels, I'm just thinking about that in the context of how it's like the audience is expected to be willfully ignorant that we've aged several characters up 10 years, but these 3 or 4 have not changed a bit. It's like I don't know. It seems a bit. It feels like it fits it. Like being a bit wolf. You're just expecting the audience to just get on with it and not really think too much about it, but you can't because you've gotten attached to several actors playing certain roles for like the first 5 episodes, and then you're changing them out for older. I'm not sure what I think, to be honest. I'm still going to watch it, obviously. I still enjoy it. It makes me think, though, if they're doing this so early on in the series, then maybe if there are later seasons of this spin-off, they might have, I don't know, bigger time gaps, a wider range of characters. Who knows? I'm not sure how it could go. That's all the news that I have seen.
Okay.
I have been your anchorman tonight, Craig Britton. You have been my special guest, Tobias Saltman.
I have indeed.
I need to pee really badly.
You always do.
I know. I drink like a liter of water when we do these things.
I've just drank about a liter of rum.
So what? I don't know how we can wrap this up. I guess we can just say that's the end of our show today because we just did.
Yeah, we sort of experimented with the format today, didn't we?
Yeah.
Not really sure how it's going to turn out, but we'll give it a listen afterwards. Hopefully, the listeners out there or the lovers, out there enjoyed.
Well, maybe they can tell us. Should we do more of it? Should we not? They'll let us know if it works or not. We should ask.
Yeah, let us know, guys. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and all those other things that we haven't had the time to do yet, but we will get round to.
Yeah, definitely.
And let us know. Direct message us. Tell us, what do you want to hear? What do you want us to talk about? Maybe want more guests. We get some guests on. Whatever it is. Different topics, whatever it is. Please let us know. We want to know. We want to do what you want us to do because you are what makes us doing. What the fuck am I saying? I'm going to cut a lot of that.
That's how you end the podcast.
That's how you end the podcast, like a wet fart. But yeah, just let us know what you want to hear because we want to accommodate everyone who's listening, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Thanks for listening, guys. Craig, thanks for talking to me. I learned a few things today. And until next time, keep it knees.
Keep it knees.